This guy I look up to, Joe Dumars I look up to. I hit 2 shots in a row. Timeouts called. Joe Dumars is walking by, Mr. Gentleman, nice guy of the league, right into my gut. And I'm like, did you see what he just did?
Yeah.
And so he looks back, like, okay, you hit 2 in a row, you won't hit. That's real. That's not propaganda. What other? Was that?
All right, welcome back to the show, everyone, and good afternoon to you. Recently got suggested that I check out anything from Joe Dumars, and I thought, yeah, absolutely, hell yeah. Plenty to talk about when it comes to Joe Dumars. First of all, this video is from BTM Basketball Time Machine, one of my favorites, the Godfather. I tip my hat off to you, Godfather, of basketball YouTube content. This one is titled Michael Jordan and NBA Legends Explain Why Joe Dumars Was a Beast. And I'm definitely looking forward to this because Joe D was the unsung hero of that Detroit Pistons team, in my mind, because the two of them, they made the best backcourt as far as like 1-2 punch guard wise that I've ever seen, until maybe Steph and Clay. That one's a debate. We can go all day on that one, but I'm not going to disrespect either duo. But for many, many, many years, this was what I saw as the best backcourt. And they didn't just do it offensively, they did it defensively. One of the best players ever to guard Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan respects the hell out of Joe Dumars, and also has a class act when the rest of the team was walking off the court when the Bulls beat him in the playoffs. Guess who the only one was who actually went over and congratulated the Bulls? Joe Dumars. So I got a lot to say about him because we all talk about Isaiah Thomas, and rightfully so. The guy's one of the greatest point guards of all time. But somewhere in the mix, Joe Dumars doesn't get enough credit. So let's help repair a little bit of that. As I always do, I'm going to link the original video down below for you. If you haven't checked out BTM Basketball Time Machine, what's wrong with you? Go subscribe to the channel. Go check it out. It's great. If you're not convinced, then let's watch this. Link will be down in the description for you, as well as a list of channel members. Shout out to each and every one of you guys. I appreciate you all very much. Everybody else, please leave this video a like. All right, let's do this. Let's do it.
Oh, yes, sir. Starting off, first and foremost, I got to go with my man. He's the Hall. Joe Dumars.
Joe D.
Hey guys, this is Dominique Wilkins.
Hey, this is Shaun Kemp.
This is Gary Payton.
Hey, this is Pau Gasol.
NBA fans, what's up? This is Vince Carter here.
Hey, what's up? This is Matt Barnes. If you're an old school NBA fan like I am, make sure you check out the Basketball Time Machine with my man Sean David.
Hello and good day, everyone. How's it going? Welcome back to the Basketball Time Machine. My name is Sean David. Thanks for tuning in. Let's talk some old school NBA basketball. You know, for those guys of you who watch my show on a regular basis, you know that I always do my best to find topics that probably haven't been covered a million times before, and it's so difficult because there are just so many channels out there.
Yeah.
But there's one guy who's one of my favorite players of all time who I haven't covered that often, especially when it comes to the NBA Legends Explain videos. And the guy I'm talking about is Joe Dumars. And the only reason why I never did a video about him with NBA Legends talking about him is because there are hardly no clips. But today,
Really?
I spent hours searching for clips and I found enough to put together this video. So in today's episode, we're going to see NBA Legends talking about how great was Joe Dumars.
I mean, that's how you know. That's how you know he's underappreciated. It shouldn't be that hard to find clips of people telling stories about Joe D. But I believe Sean here. I believe he probably had to dig hard for it.
Let's say enough of that blah blah. Let's get right into it.
Don't worry, Sean. I do way worse than you with the blah blah. Sonic Boom. Or I should say Yoga Fire.
So the first player that I want to take a look at is Allen Houston. If you don't remember him, he was a great shooter, played for the New York Knicks, and also, of course, for the Detroit Pistons, played alongside Joe Dumars.
Did you say Allen
Let's
Houston?
hear what he has to say.
You gotta remember, I had practice against Joe Dumars.
Joe D.
So
Yeah.
Joe, was like a bulldog. I mean, low to the ground, had really good feet, and people probably
Good
don't know
hands.
that he was a really good tennis player.
Really?
So
No, I never
Joe
heard
was
of
a
that.
really good tennis player. So we had our practice facility in
Oh, it's the Knuckleheads podcast.
and he would go sometimes either before or after practice or workouts and go just hit tennis balls, either with the owner or somebody else.
Yeah.
And I noticed that he always was like really good feet.
First time I played, I wasn't even in that big 80s mix. But this is the first time I played the Detroit Pistons. This guy I look up to, Joe Dumars I look up to. I hit 2 shots in a row. Timeouts called. Joe Dumars is walking by, Mr. Gentleman, nice guy of the league, right into my gut. And I'm like, did you see what he just did?
Yeah.
And so he looks back, like, okay, you hit 2 in a row, you won't hit. That's real. That's not propaganda. What other?
Was that
wait a minute.
mental or physical intimidation?
It was both. You don't hit it. It's a timeout on the play, honey. You're walking to one bench, the other guy's walking, and then he gives you a shot because he knows no one's paying attention.
I actually did that to you one time, but I don't think you felt it.
Okay, here's the question. Did you make your third shot?
I don't think so.
Now, when we talk about the most famous teammates of Joe Dumars, obviously we talk about Dennis Rodman, Bill Laimbeer, but the main guy was Isiah Thomas. And he has some pretty interesting things to say about his former running mates.
I played with a guy who looked just as smooth as Devin Booker doing it, and his name was Joe Dumars.
Backs him mid-post. Hanslick over to help. Behind the back, leave inside from a horn. Great pass. He lays it up and in.
6-time All-Star, 5-time All-Defense.
Shot. Dumars slices in for the basket. He's an offensive weapon like never before.
Joe Dumars.
You all want to talk about LeBron James? I don't think even he has 5. No, he doesn't.
Take you off the dribble, play pick and roll. He can post you up. He couldn't jump as high as Devin, but man, they both had pretty sweet jump shots.
Yeah, he's stronger than Devin.
They were killers. Joe, in our era, was known as one of the best defensive players out on the perimeter. A lot of nights, he would have that tough matchup, whether it be Jordan, Reggie Miller, Sidney Moncrief. Joe would always have to take that tough matchup out on the perimeter. He was a great defender.
Thomas up ahead. Dumars takes it and hits it with the left hand.
That physical strength was unique with Joe D.
Tie game. Behind the back to Isiah. Sideline right to Dumars. The rainbow goes. Joe Dumars.
Detroit Pistons select Joe Dumars of McNeese State.
And he filled it up. He can do no wrong. It is Dumars' domain tonight at the Palace. Dumars does nothing but that tremendous performance.
I had seen him early, and I thought, God, this guy would go great.
With Joe, the thing that always was crazy about Joe and I was the connection that we had out on the floor. I remember the first time it happened. I was coming down court. All of a sudden, I hear, psst, 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 psst. And I'm like, are you trying to let me know you're open? Like, dude, there's 20,000 people in the building. And from that point on, every time that he was open, no matter what arena we were playing in, I had to train my ear to listen to psst, 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 psst. Fast forward now, we're here, and I'm working at NBA TV and TNT, and Reggie Miller comes in. Out of all these years that I've coached Reggie Miller with the Indiana Pacers, he said, Coach, I finally want to ask you this question. What was Joe doing when I would be guarding him and all he would say is, psst, 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 psst. What did that mean? I said, Reggie, that meant that he was open and I'm supposed to throw him the basketball.
Now, obviously, we know back in the day, Michael Jordan and Joe Dumars always had that great rivalry going on, especially because Michael Jordan always appreciated Joe Dumars for his sensational defense, which he will explain in the following clip.
Yeah, it's all still respected this day, which is crazy. They still talk about each other in such high regard.
I mean, he was very smart about his defenses. I think he approaches the game as trying to dissect his opponents and try to find weaknesses or try to force them to do things that they didn't feel comfortable doing, and he introduced certain tricks to make me expand on my talents as an offensive player. I mean, that's why I consider him the best.
Everyone talks about their identity as the bad boys, but the baddest boys is probably their backcourt.
The problem Joe Dumars had is he is cursed by the fact that he wasn't even the best guy in his own backcourt.
Joe Dumars won an NBA Finals MVP. If you ask Michael Jordan who's the best defender, whoever guarded him, it's Joe Dumars.
Yeah, that's something we don't talk about enough. He did win an NBA Finals MVP. One went to Isiah, one went to him. They were really... Isiah in the early years, obviously he was the guy, But by those championship years, at least this is how me and my brother saw it. I can't back this up as stats right now, but the way we saw it with the eye test back then, we were just like, these two are one and the same as far as like they're two pieces of one whole. So like we stopped giving all that credit to just one or the other. Like they were just a perfect duo.
I covered Michael Jordan for years, and I can tell you nobody gave Michael Jordan fits like Joe Dumars.
Jordan knocked away by Dumars. Great defense by Joe.
I think Jordan would agree.
Dumars stole it. 12-foot
27
jumper.
points, shooting 58% on 6 assists. Yep, against the Lakers.
Good. Great play by Joe. Drives around Worthy. Comes in deep. Throws it up and banks it in left-handed. Dumars 6 out of 9. Dribbles around Worthy in deep. Stop. 8-foot jumper. That's good. I don't believe what I'm seeing.
He's just too smooth.
In the 89 series against the Lakers, they put James Worthy on Joe Dumars. Now, James, don't laugh. Don't get mad, because you know he cooked you. Even though you cooked us too. James Worthy having to guard Joe Dumars out on the perimeter. Magic couldn't guard him. Worthy couldn't guard him. So we just kept going to Joe, and Joe got hot. He was hot throughout the whole series. I guess they found out like Joe Dumars was the real deal. Hall of Famer now. Joe Dumars.
Yes, sir.
You know, as I told you in the beginning of the video, Joe Dumars was always one of my favorite players back in the days. And there are many reasons why. I actually feel that he belongs in the top 75 players of all times list. And I explain you why.
We can argue that. Yeah.
Joe Dumars was a great scorer, but the only reason why he never averaged like 25 points per game was because he had other players around him who could also score. So it was not
straight up. I could do it right now. Get Damian Lillard out of there. Put Joe D in there. Way more deserving than Dame. Sorry, man. Dame is one of the most talented shooters I've ever seen, but what has it resulted to so far? It was way too premature to put him on that list. Way too premature. Put somebody from the past who actually accomplished everything they sought out to accomplish. Joe D should be in there. I agree.
His main goal. Basketball IQ told him, hey, let me try to fit in, let me provide my team with what they need. He had seasons where he averaged 20 points, so it was definitely a more than potent scorer. His defense, I mean, you saw it already in the clips, he was sensational. And there's a reason why Michael Jordan considers him to be the greatest defender he ever played against. But also, not only his basketball IQ, but also his humility that he was always willing to sacrifice stats in order to provide his team what they needed. I love those players. Yep. I love those team-first players. And I think that's also a reason why many people overlook how great Joe Dumars was. Yeah. So, Joe, this video is for you. I have so much appreciation for you. And for you guys, let me know in the comments below, how do you think, how great was Joe Dumars? And I'll see you next time on the Basketball Time Machine.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for this one. It kind of reminds me of Tim Duncan. You know what I mean? Like, somebody who doesn't go out there, demand a bunch of attention, and he's just doing anything that the team needs that day to win that individual game. You know, he's not worried about his stat line staying on average or whatever. He's literally taking each matchup and saying, what does my team need from me? That's what I'm going to do, and hopefully we win. And I mean, for both of them, chances are that led to victory. So I like that kind of mindset instead of I'm going to do this every game against every opponent no matter what, and I'm not going to alter my game no matter what the situation is, because I'm just going to go out there and get my numbers. I don't like that, because that's not winning like a team sport winning mentality. Guys like Joe D, yeah, man, I really appreciate people like that, because they don't get the credit they deserve, yet they're really, you know, behind the scenes just making the machine work. You know, and they're very adaptable. So, anyways, I prefer a guy like this than somebody who's just going out there scoring 30 every night and, you know, not resulting in winning and not adjusting to what's going on. Who has the hot hand? You know, do I need to focus more on defense to shut down somebody like Michael Jordan today as opposed to focus on my scoring? You know, like, these are the versatile players that I've always appreciated and really mattered when, you know, two-way ball was, you know, you had to be a two-way player. It wasn't even a thing. We didn't even say two-way player back then. It was assumed if you're on the court, you're playing solid defense, or else you wouldn't be out there on the court. Excuse me. Anyways, nothing but respect for Joe D. Thank you for the recommendation. Let me know in the comments, you guys. Do you guys want more coverage on Joe Dumars? Or not only that, who else? Because, you know, we're on a mission this summer to continuously cover some players that are unsung heroes that don't get enough credit. So shout more out in the comments to me, okay? I'll be reading. Guys, like the vid, subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this, and most importantly, thanks for watching with me. But most importantly, to be water, my friends.